Welcome to DXgov governance discussion for Wednesday, May 26th, 1500 UTC time. Starting first with the proposal roundup, 5 proposals boosted or pending boosting on mainnet. There are 2 DXgov treasury diversification proposals, one to USDC and one to DAI. We did a trade on Monday, I think, for SUSD and USDT as part of that. And Dave's going to speak to some things on Treasury in a bit. Then there's a proposal to transfer funds to XDXDAO for the DXD buyback, swapper farming, Omen competition, and Opolis reimbursement. So this is 100 ETH transfer to be split 1/3 converted to DAI, and then both bridged over and deposited into XDXDAO. This is kind of like just a rebalancing of funds, partially because there's been some expenses on XDAI that depleted it. Most notably, the Opolis grant investment was taken out, so needing to re-up that, and then there's a good amount of WETH that's being used on the buyback. So this is meant to reimburse XDAI based for that. I think that'll pass in 6 days. I think it's next Monday, Monday night or Tuesday evening, and it would be good to get those funds over there quickly because there are a good amount of proposals that are going through now. And then there's Roy's worker proposal for March and April, and then the open multi-call installation scheme is actually set to pass in 3.5 days. So this is the one that would allow DXgov to interact with any arbitrary smart contract. It would be an open one, but there's just a very long time for the voting period. I think it's 16 days or 18 days around that. And so this is important for the DX yield discussion that we'll get to in a minute there. And that's it for mainnet. Any thoughts, questions on mainnet proposals? Cool. Then moving on to XDAI base, 9 proposals boosted or pending boosted. Hexel and Adams worker proposal, the funding proposal for XDXD buyback number 4, Violet's worker proposal, which did not include a reference to a German disco song as some of his past worker proposals, but I look forward to recommendations from Violet in the future. And then there's a second full audit for this swapper farming contract. So this has been done. The audit I think was actually just concluded yesterday, and this is for Phil there. It's also a request in USDC, so that's using some of the USDC that was bridged over in the last XDAI base transfer. Then there's rep boost for Cabello, actually 2, because he has the regular rep boost and then a Discord rep boost, and then a rep boost for Luigi Lemon. And then there is the add tokens to Omen token currency list. I think that adds the WETH and WBTC tokens as collateral in Omen. I think this would be really important for the flippening markets that the Omen squad is working on. So wanting to have good liquidity in DAI, WETH, and WBTC as collateral as a way of for these markets. And so that's a proposal to add them as collateral there. And then there is a just recently boosted XDXD buyback order number 4 that will boost hopefully in the next day, and then is open for voting for 4 days. So those are the current ones. I'm going to go through buyback stuff in a second and do actually a little bit of a demo, but any thoughts on other XDAI proposals or any outstanding proposals? Cool. And then just for the buyback, just to kind of do a check-in. So we have, there's been 3 orders that have been placed on GP protocol through the buyback. So the first one was, I think it was 9 days ago. It would have been like the Friday before the last. That was the one that was at 50%. And that acquired, I think it was 85 or 90 DXD. And so that was the first one. And then buyback order number 2 was executed and order placed on Sunday. And then buyback order number 3 was actually just executed and placed yesterday. So right now, if you look on Mesa, you can see like the order book, there's a bid for, I think it's like 124 DXD at 0.1101 WETH or something like that. And then there's also a bid at 0.98 WETH. And that's the 0.98 WETH is buyback order number 2, and the 0.110 WETH is buyback order number 3. And then we have the buyback order number 4 is proposal has just been submitted, and these are all on XDAI. Mainnet we had a little bit of a snag because we actually we installed the new multi-call scheme in order to be able to interact with the GP relayer on mainnet. But the new scheme actually wasn't showing up in Alchemy, but I think that has been fixed.
Yeah, that was actually because the version of Alchemy was not using the same subgraph that the new scheme was being indexed on, and that has been updated by the DAO Stack team and is now showing up in the UI.
Cool. And then I wanted to go over like a quick demo of basically like how this works. I think it's really kind of a really cool way of doing this, and I think it's some really cool things being done, because I think there was someone in the chat, I can't remember if it was Snufkin, I think, was talking about he noticed the order of the proposal, and he asked the question like, can anyone sabotage these proposals? Right, and I think it's a cool way that this relayer has been built, and so Nico is doing all this work. Is like the whole point is like you can't sabotage it in a certain way. You just like maybe like don't succeed on it, right? You have to call the certain things in a certain order, but it's meant to be, I guess, like or anti-fragile in a way. So anyway, I just wanted to share my screen to go through how to execute this. So I'm going to put this in a guide later, but I talked to Nico this morning, so I just wanted to kind of go over it on the call here and see if there's, okay. So this is a order number 4. So you can see this one will boost in 21 hours. So if someone wants to, if we want to execute this order, so let's say the proposal's passed and we want to be able to place these orders on GP Relayer, anyone should be able to do it. So the first thing that you need to do is actually execute the funding proposal first. So that's not this order, but if it was, there would be a little thing at the top, and just simply execute it, and that will actually send the WETH to the GP Relayer. And then the second thing would be to, once that's done, once the WETH is in the GP relayer, is then to execute this proposal, right? So both of those are done through Alchemy. You just execute the proposals through the little blue button that will appear at the top here. And then next, you go to the Gnosis protocol relayer. And so that's just the link in this right here. And so this is Block Scout. So this is the Gnosis protocol relayer. 0xA369, grow to know that and love it. And so what we want to do next is find the order index number. So the multi-call scheme proposal basically interacts with this relayer, but you actually can't see the transaction on this screen. It's actually kind of like an internal transaction. So the easiest place to look at to find the order index number is under the logs point right here. So logs, this is like the interactions with the Gnosis protocol relayer. And you'll notice this is for each order, there's the proposal execution right here. And then the second one is the place trade, right? So this transaction right here is actually the transaction that executed the proposal on Alchemy. And it should appear as the top one on the logs right here. And what we're looking for is the number 3 right here. So this order index number 3, because this is actually the 4th order that's gone through the GP relayer, but index start at 0. So you're looking at this as this number 3 that contains the information basically in the proposal right here. So now that we have number 3, we want to go over to, well, first actually you can check to make sure this is the right order in the read contract area here, because you can get the order details. So right here, 3, and then right, this stuff is the same as the all of these parameters are the same parameters right here that were outlined there. And then, so we know it's order number 3. And so now we want to basically place order number 3 onto the Gnosis protocol itself. And so in order to do that, we have to go over to write contract, connect, and we need to, there's 2 functions we need to call. The first one is number 9, update Oracle. And we actually need to call this twice and wait 120 seconds in between those. So you would just put the order index there, and then you would press write. I'm not going to do this transaction, but and then we would wait 120 seconds for that transaction to go, because what it's doing is it's taking the average price over that 2 minutes, and it's using that as basically the Oracle price. So once you've done 2 transactions of number 9, update Oracle, 120 seconds in between, then you take the same number and you put it in this one, number 7, 3, and then just press write again. And then that will actually place the trade itself. So really kind of 3 key steps. 1, get the order index number, and that's on the logs component of the Gnosis protocol relayer. It should be the top transaction, right? It should be probably this one. And if you look at it, it should be, it'll have the information right here. So you take the order index, and then second, you put that in the number 9, the get Oracle, and you call that twice after 120 seconds. And then third, you take the same order index and you put it into the 7 place trade and then do the transaction. I think that was correct. I don't know if John, Nico couldn't make it, but I talked to him before that, so I was trying to echo him as much as possible. But any questions or thoughts on that?
Yeah, and after all those steps, I think the person who wants to actually profit out of it somehow should also prepare or like check out how to use Mesa. They can just go to mesa.eth.link and deposit DXD if they actually want to sell and see an arbitrage opportunity.
It'd be cool to see this. I was actually just looking at this, Chris. It actually looks like there is an arbitrage opportunity right this moment.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it's 0.106 on Swapper, and the order is 0.1101.
So yeah, and I think, and I was actually just pinging some of the comms team here, just because I think it's a good opportunity to inform the community about this, right? Like, of course, I could go, make the arb trade, and anybody here could do that, but I think it's also good that we use it as a chance to make sure people understand how this actually works. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually like one of the most decentralized ways of DAOs doing diversifications, right? I'm not sure if there's a better one out there besides like an auction model.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting how the orders are, how this, it's basically like, how do we place orders for DXD through a proposal process, right? And like, as a result of that, it kind of creates this whole structure there. So it's a cool thing that we should, highlight. I guess we have not wanted to like tweet, there's a big, we're sell your DXD or something, but I think we have to figure out, I guess, exactly how that tone is. And I think making it as like a guide for Mesa is important.
Also, it's fine that it's like just like a community-wide know-how, right? Like as long as the community is making sure that the DXDAO is doing the diversification, And at the end of the day, I would bet that like it's a win-win for everyone. I think the premium is it's pretty low. I think it will take us a lot of time to actually get the 1 million USD in DXD back. But as long as we do it like not quietly, but like calmly and just pushing limit orders in all the time, I think we will. Yeah, it will take a time, but I already. It looks like DXD is actually appreciating, and most of the limit orders are not getting filled right now.
Yeah, a couple interesting things on that is so Gnosis, in the past has done what we're kind of describing. I think they were doing it more for testing purposes, but they were putting like orders out there into like the Mesa world at prices that made ARBs possible. So it was attracting community to come and use the system in order to like take advantage of those ARBs. So like we're doing that in a real way now, not a testing way. But you have to have that. Well, that incentive is what creates the pull for the community to come in and use it and take advantage of that opportunity. And then secondly, it's interesting that it's like it also is similar, and it like looks a lot like member balancer with maybe a more attractive premium, if depending on what the premium is at the time. But well, I guess over time we'll learn what that premium is that attracts people, and that premium could be used as knowledge in additional programs we use, even related to member balancer. Like, is 1% premium enough to get people to come and pay attention to something, or should it be 2% or whatever it is? So it'll be great data to get.
Yeah, I think DXC is just not liquid enough to make those limit orders filled quickly. I think just like those small orders from the DXDAO trigger like a big slippage on mainnet 1inch or swapper on the XDAI. So I think, yeah, either we increase the premium or we just do like the slow process and wait until there are arbitrage opportunities. And like my last question is, how long will those limit orders stay on the order book?
Yeah, and while we're talking about this, actually, Chris, I have Mesa. Maybe I can just share my screen real quick. I actually have
if you're gonna go for
open, I know. Yeah, I actually pulled it up. Let me just share my tab here and see if this works. Y'all can see this. So I actually have the order book open on the XDAI Gnosis protocol, the WEF DXT. And can you see if I hover over it? Can you see the pop-ups?
Yeah.
So there's basically two live orders here, right? So you can see the higher priced one with a bid of 0.11 such on and so forth, WEF per DXD with a volume of 124, and then this is counting the volume cumulatively, I think here. So it's like another 109 at this lower price of 0.09. So I think this was the second order that went through from the buyback proposal, and this is the third one, I think. And I think maybe it was actually like Luigi Lemon. I think maybe sold a couple of DXD at this one. I'm messing around with it. And so, like, I'll just close out this real quick, just so people see. It's important that you actually connect to XDAI to actually be able to see it. And then when you go in here, you actually have to paste the DXD address, which if you don't know it, you can get it from DXStats. You can go to Block Scout and just like search for DXD, and then you gotta paste the DXD address in there. You'll get the token ticker comes up, and then you can see the order book by clicking on this link over here.
So I think an easy fix to get rid of the pasting of DXD addresses is we should actually add our own token to Mesa on XDAI.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess sometimes it actually appears, I notice. The DXD.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't.
So get to add it once.
Yeah, once you add it locally, it should persist, I think, on that browser. But yeah, would be good if we add DXD to our own. That would make sense.
Do we know how much tokens the DXgov has bought back?
Yes, I can. I think I can figure that out. It's very difficult, but you can look on the batch.
You can look at the smart contract. You can look on the Gnosis protocol
Right.
smart contract, and you put in the addresses. I don't have it up in front of me, so I couldn't show you right now. But it is possible to pull that out of the Gnosis protocol smart contract, like going to DXgov.
Yeah, I actually
something
did it
like
this morning.
80 something. I want to say.
It's actually like 120. So basically, I think there were 11 bought out of that first order, and then like 12 bought out of the second order.
Oh, interesting.
Because that one was first at like 135 or something, I noticed. So I think I'm a little bit different than people. I don't really think these need to get filled immediately. I think it's kind of more about like the DAO like showing support for like DXD. And in all honesty, like DXD should not drop below the price anymore because there's the support. Like, I mean, what happens is we don't have enough bid on DXD, which means like people go to sell DXD and then like the price just drops. But if people like go to sell DXD in the future, like these orders are still going to be there. So then the arbitrage opportunity will be even larger, right? And so like, I guess like I kind of think we're pushing up the price of DXD and then like buying them, you know, the community is coming in for arbitrage opportunities like when they are necessary. But I don't see the like impetus to like fill these immediately.
Well, they
There
might
is like
get
a capital. There is a capital efficiency loss, right? Which is basically like we have WETH sitting on an order book, and that WETH could be better spent elsewhere. But like we have a lot of ETH, so I don't think that is that much of a lost opportunity cost.
Yeah, I think that would maybe only really be an issue as you got closer to the initial like goal of the 1 million, and if some of that, you know, if there's like more than 1 million worth of, you know, if the amount of ETH sitting in open orders were to put you above that amount, maybe that's a little problematic, but that could be monitored. I mean, the other thing is like the price can change and these could get filled. I mean, in fact, like half of these should be getting filled if people were watching it. And I think that kind of actually brings me to my other point here, which is I think if people actually were aware of how to do this, we wouldn't see the orders sitting around, because when they're placed, there is an arbitrage opportunity unless the price happens to move very quickly, like on Swapper in that time, right? So like once people, like once you have arbitrageurs like actually watching for this, I think they should get filled because there's a little bit of money to be made. I don't know, maybe the motivation is just not there, but I mean, I think clearly because we're actually looking at a decent arbitrage opportunity here, like it's just not well enough known, right, at this point.
I don't think the deal is actually pretty good. I think like immediately after the order is placed, there is a premium, but this is like quickly arbitraged away, and then you're actually pushing the prices up on Swap on XDAI, and then it's like pretty quickly gone. You just eat up the premium.
Yeah, the slippage might not be good. Like might be hard on XDAI to. What is this?
Yeah, it's so you could buy 1 ETH of DXD for 0.106 on Swapper XDAI right now, and then you could sell that. Right. So I mean, calculate that like 0.004, what the opportunity is. But like, I guess we kind of like, I mean, as a DAO, I don't think we should like, we kind of have to just set this as like set the incentives right and like trust that we can figure out how to like that they will be met. I think John's right in terms of, well, then the thing we're maybe missing is like, how do we make sure people are like taking advantage of this? And like the Mesa, like highlighting people on how to use Mesa, I think is key.
Do we know how long those orders will stay? Like, will they stay forever? Is it
so each order has a as an end date, and so you can see like what, and they're in the original proposal itself. So I think I can't remember exactly what the date was put for those, but it's like 10 days or so.
That's not much, right?
Yeah, so this one will go, the order number 3 that's there is actually only going to be there for 5 more days.
Should we increase that time to like at least a month?
So, and I haven't put any, so I did that number 4, and I think I did it till like 10 or 11 days, but I guess that's the question, is like, how long should these orders be open for? I was kind of thinking that we'd want to be able to like adjust the orders automatically, right? And so if they if they fall, then like we could withdraw it back and then put a new order in.
Got it. So the plan is basically to continue pushing limit orders and see how it works. Okay, awesome.
And I think if you like, the more we cycle, the more it's like we're getting like the fresh market price. And like, I mean, obviously like a key component of this is like being able to acquire DXD, but part of it is like the price may go up even if they're not being acquired from it. But I just think more limit orders is the answer, because there's the opportunity cost of us putting limit orders is like very, very small. Especially on XI when there's like literally no gas cost.
Yeah, on XI, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like even the arbitrage does make sense, even like with small pieces of DXD. So that's like pretty amazing.
And then if someone goes, like, I mean, because this is what has even happened the last like 2 months, basically, like a big DXD holder is just like selling a bunch. And that's like and they're like, typically they're not engaged with the project. They don't know anything. They're just like hitting a, market sell on Uniswap or something. So that will like drop the price. But if that drops the price, then, and we have all these limit orders on XDAI, then there's just like a huge incentive to bridge the DXD price on mainnet to acquire that XDAI. And I think that the incentives are aligned, but I think more limit orders and like more proposals.
Yeah, and I guess the thing I missed here with this arbitrage opportunity is it's actually small. It's not the full size of this order because of the slippage on at least on XDAI on Swapper. Like it's only a couple of WETH before you get above the DXD price in these orders. So
do we want to be more aggressive and actually like really trying to get back the DXD, or is it like support for the price?
I mean, I think it's a great question. I don't know. I think we could move towards aggressive of like, okay, we want to acquire this now, then we would obviously increase the price. And so then maybe we would like actually have a higher cost of acquisition or purchase, as opposed to like, basically now we could just be buying the dips. Cause like, the thing is people are selling DXD every day. Like people sell assets like every day. So it's like, you have to have some buys to eat up those sells. And I think that's kind of what we're doing with the buyback, as opposed to like just, increasing the price, having the price slip or something.
Yeah, and like this way we're actually buying as cheap as possible.
Because then we're just buying the whole way up, right? We're buying like a little bit each way as the pricing pushes up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could make an argument that the 2.5% could be increased, especially given the amount of slippage with current levels of liquidity on chain. If it's kind of about like creating a proper arbitrage opportunity. Yeah.
So there is and this is a really key point, Keenan question. The volume is the number of or the volume increase. So I have been tracking the volume increase, and unfortunately we have not. We've been like, the last week has been good, but we have not increased it that much. And that's mostly because the last couple months were not very low volume. But the last week has seen an increase in volume, but it has not materially affected the average daily trading volume.
And I'm not sure, but Keenan might be referring to Mesa here and the volume number on the screen in that window. And yeah, that is just the quantity of DXD in that order.
That's actually correct, John, but I was wondering the other as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think we should think about increased premium to at least get like at least get some portion of the planned buyback like back, and then we could do like the slower mode, just to make sure that we actually like buying back DXD.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would need a new signal proposal because like the 2.5% is in the signal proposal.
Got it. Yeah, maybe we should like drive with that for at least a month and see if there are like any actions going on, and then we should probably adjust.
Yeah, because it's basically the size of the ARB opportunity is related to the slippage you can get on the order, right? So that's kind of related.
Yeah,
so if these orders like start to kind of sit out there and create this like rough like floating floor level, and obviously that will slowly go up and like move up and down over time. At the same time, could we just say to the public, like, DXDAO is willing to buy back like DXD at 0.12 ETH, like send as much as you want to the DAO and do a proposal and request ETH? Isn't that like the same thing and even easier? I mean, you have to trust the DAO,
but there are limit orders right now.
Right? Huh?
Like, why is that necessary?
You can do way more. It's way more. It's way easier. You could do massive volume, and you could do unlimited amounts at that price without doing any of this stuff.
I mean, we should basically just tell Li Feng that there are limit orders now.
Just because I just calculated it in the Gnosis protocol. So there's been 105 DXD acquired. And so like at current prices, that's like 30,000. And that's through, yeah. I think there was like 80, 85 in that first order. And then there's been like 10 on each of the second and third order, with still like an opportunity for like 10 or 15 DXD right now as an ARB.
The other thing too that we could probably analyze a little bit more, especially if we're gonna like make an updated proposal, is like, well, maybe we can see with this first one on mainnet how it goes. But looking at, because like the slippage is a factor, but then also gas costs on mainnet, right? And there's like a couple dimensions to that, right? There's the gas costs of making the ARB trades and then actually depositing or whatever into Mesa or Gnosis protocol, and there's also the overhead cost of doing the proposals for DXDAO, right? Which doesn't necessarily affect the trader, but I mean, I think we should think about it because it's part of the cost of doing the trade. So,
and it'd be great to get the trade volume increased so that the mainnet trades could be larger, and that would help address the gas costs for both of those.
Exactly. Yeah, mainnet should be like bigger and longer as a real floor. Yeah.
I mean, I think we should just do, like, if we do, and we've kind of done 4, but like, I mean, it's the proposals are a little bit tricky, as you've kind of seen, and there's like, it's a whole tricky thing, but we're kind of getting the hang of it now. And I think if we just do like, 1 a day for the next 5 days on XDAI, and I guess we could do a mainnet one on there, but like, I think that will drive volume and drive price and acquire DXD in the next, 10 days without going through a whole other process.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how this continues to play out over the next couple of weeks with like one on mainnet or more maybe. Another concept that has been discussed a bit would be building and deploying another swapper relayer, not a liquidity relayer, but like a trading relayer that could let this happen actually directly as a market buy on Swapper, which I think could become interesting, especially if liquidity conditions are improving.
I agree, especially on mainnet, I think.
Yeah, mainnet, just because of gas costs, I think that becomes pretty attractive. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I want to keep moving because we actually do have a bunch of other things, but this was any other thoughts, questions on this? Buyback number 4 proposals up on XDAI there, so have a look verify, and then we'll try to keep cranking these out.
Yeah, just quick comment. I think we should circle back. I know we're already planning on it, but making sure we get the community informed ASAP, I think would be good.
Yeah, let's figure out exactly how that tweet, probably like a tweet of something, and it's like the Mesa, a guide for Mesa.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if Caden is on the other Caden. The other Caden, it might be something that he could work on. Okay. All right. And then DX yield, switching close to Treasury. Dave, you made a nice forum post. Do you want to introduce it?
Sure, absolutely. So alongside the Treasury diversification proposal number 2, a set of assets were also authorized to be used on some yielding protocols. And that summed up to 5 million USD in stablecoins and 1,000 in Ether. And alongside that, we also had like 3 pre-authorized protocols, so to speak. So Compound, Aave, and Yearn. And so I just really prepared a rough draft, which I published on DAO Talk this morning, with a potential way of allocating these funds among the 3 platforms. And kind of keeping in mind that we don't want to go all in on one protocol. And we want to, of course, also invest a certain diversified set of stablecoins, so the 4 we have, of course. And this is also dependent still on the multi-call installation, which Chris already mentioned before. And I believe we'll also need a relayer then to be able to actually interact with these protocols directly. So we're still not able to do this yet, but I just wanted to lay down a bit the framework, so we're ready to go as soon as the tech stuff is up and running. And yeah, if anyone has any feedback, please feel free to just drop it in the forum. Highly appreciated. I saw Nathan already proposed another yielding protocol, so to speak. So that's also nice. But these would likely have to be approved in another Signal proposal. So likely not eligible for this round, but for any future allocation we can take a look at other protocols as well. So that's pretty much it from my side in terms to DX yield. Yeah. Not sure if anyone has any question, comments, or.
Cool. I think it's a great plan to just get this spray approach. It's just important to diversify risk in a couple different areas. We diversify risk in the number of stable coins, the different types of stable coins we're holding, and then we also diversified it in where those ones are doing. So it's nice to see the plan laid out there.
Exactly. And talking about the yields, which is actually the main attraction of DX yield, right? So the first 5 million, of course, the rates change 24/7, being in crypto, but taking the 30-day average APYs of the past 30 days, with the 5 million allocated, it comes out to around like $55,000 a month, more or less, which is already a significant part of our burn rate as well. So it will, of course, be nice to be able to subsidize that somewhat by these yields we get.
Yeah, just think 6 months from now, it's like monthly, we're going to have like revenue and yield itself are going to pay like the burn. Right. Like it's a, I don't know, we're in a good spot. And this is a key component, I think, of like the long-term sustainability is to have that security in these stablecoin yielding assets that gives us a flexibility in a whole bunch of other areas.
And the Treasury is already getting some yield off of the liquidity and swap option rate, which is pretty cool. I think just commenting on the risk, like I think that's definitely something that we could probably put a little more thought into, maybe even talk to some like an auditor or two about it, just to get some outside opinions. I think generally yield, correlate, the higher the yield, it correlates with risk, generally speaking. And I think you can see that in these protocols, right? Like in general, you always have the smart contract risk. Then sometimes there's like additional protocol risk, right? So like some of the strategies that Wire might be deploying, they might magnify your smart contract risk by using 4 protocols chained together. You may also introduce other kinds of risks like, if Curve is one of the yield generation strategies and you're using a stablecoin pool in Curve, if something happens to one of those stablecoins, it drastically depegs. Like if USDT were to just fall to 40% or something, that would cause drastic losses in that Curve pool. So like, there's different risks that you're taking on by using these, and but yeah, generally it correlates to the yield. Compound, I would describe that as probably the closest thing to a risk-free rate. In crypto, it's a very tried and true platform. It's not doing anything too fancy. It's just lending it out, right? There's no additional smart contract risks beyond the Compound protocol itself, which has been around for a while. It was developed by a very capable and well-known team, right? So it's a pretty sturdy, relatively low risk protocol, and kind of goes on from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also for this first initial draft, we'd really just use Compound, Aave, and YEarn, which were part of the proposals, right? But as we look into other options, these likely become, have less total amounts in there and higher returns. It would be great to also get some technical feedback on the project, right? Maybe, as you said, like someone who's an expert in auditing or something, to be able to assess these risks better as well. Because of course, technically speaking, I also am not able to really give an opinion on that.
Yeah, definitely. And then I also think it makes sense to have there's a lot of attractive yield opportunities with stablecoins and crypto. But if you're looking at the treasury, I think it makes sense to be fairly conservative with the stable assets in the treasury, because kind of the point of those is to secure some runway further down. Right? So we're, with the ETH assets, that's exposed to volatility risks. It's the whole point of the stable assets is kind of protect against that. So you don't want to necessarily go too far into other kinds of risks with those. But yeah, getting some yield is a great opportunity.
I'm wondering, how do we leverage this to create some, I don't know if marketing or business buzz around, because this is the DXgov, Wi-Fi, or Compound, or Aave collaboration at the end of the day. And yeah, trying to think of how we can leverage something like that.
Do we again know any other wannabe DAO who's actually doing real treasury management with yield opportunities? And I'm speaking about not Gnosis safe.
Not Gnosis safe, but everything else is Gnosis safe basically. So
right. So I think that is already a beautiful advertisement opportunity for us. The DXgov pushing liquidity into those yield protocols, and it's definitely longer term, right? I don't expect that the DXgov will move that stuff out anytime soon.
You mean all these other protocols that have boards of directors instead of community governance?
We need to tell our story. We still don't do that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I do think the risk-free rate in crypto may be the DAI savings rate rather than Compound, but unfortunately the DAI savings rate is 0.01% right now. So not much yield opportunity there.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go off the rails here, but I would push back on that because of the systemic risk for DAI itself. But
yeah, but if you're going to use Compound, you're using
USDC. I'm sorry, USDC and Compound is what I would consider the. And
you don't think the risk of a blacklist is just as much as the risk of smart contract risk from DAI?
Depends what you're doing.
Yeah.
And not the smart contract risk from DAI. It's actually the volatility risk for the underlying assets that back it. Yeah, anyways.
Well, you have the same thing for the volatility risk for the underlying assets for Compound too. That you're
not if you're lending USDC.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up. Sorry, I cut this. Mainnet Rep Award process. So I just want to kind of quickly go through this and get some feedback. I made a post in the forum about how to try to move forward with contributors claiming their mainnet rep. I don't know what the gas prices were this morning. I think I saw like a 20, 28, 29 gwei. So gas is really kind of low. And so all I really did there was maybe lay out some suggestions for what people would need to do to claim this. I don't think we need a separate proposal because like this rep has already been earned. It's already been like kind of even like ratified by rep holders on XDAI. So it is kind of closer to a sync, but it was just maybe a suggestion of some of the things to include in your proposal. I think the biggest thing, basically including the links to the XDAI proposals and using the rep amounts from that for the entire for your proposal, and the suggestion to wait until you have 3 months of unearned rep to be able to do it so that we can batch those 3 months together. I think a lot of people are going to have 3 months if they don't have that now, they will have it in 5 days as we get to the end of the month here. But that should be a big kind of rep award, a rep distribution that we've been missing for a while on mainnet. So I think we can move forward to that. Any thoughts or comments on maybe best practices for doing this rep sync?
I guess one thought I had is if we're doing like a 3 month rep sync, but our contracts are kind of 2 months and we don't request the rep till the end of each second month, should we be doing like every 4 months, 3 times a year, maybe?
Yeah, that's a little, I guess it's cleaner to have the rep that you're requesting on mainnet that is like you're claiming it to be rep that you have like already earned in a proposal from XDAI, rather than like you claiming your May, rep award through mainnet. So I don't know. It seems it would be easier if you're referencing XDAI proposals that have had issued rep, but I don't know how others think. Sky, I know you had some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I had raised the same question. So there's 2 ways to solve it. You could, right now, when we do 2 month proposals on XDAI, we normally get the rep at the end. If you take half the rep in the first month and half the rep at the second month, that solves the 2 month problem, right? Then you actually get rep in a more spread out basis rather than just wait till the end of the 2 months. So you can either do that at the beginning. Some people have done it at the beginning of their 2 month proposal, which is the proposal. Historically, we had always just done it after the full 2 months, because what if you give someone rep and then like at the start of their worker proposal and then they like don't do anything, then they already have the rep, right? So we're giving them half the payment, but we weren't giving them half the rep. But some people have changed that. So they're asking for, in the first proposal, the half the payment and half the rep. And at the end, they get the other half of the payment and half the rep. So if you split up the rep into, you get rep every month, then it becomes easier to do the mainnet matching at any set period you want. You could do every 3 months, and that works. But there's a lot of people that haven't done that. So in terms of like over the next 2 weeks, how are we going to match up main rep as much as possible? I don't think you should include rep that hasn't been given next day yet.
Yeah,
So
and I think it'll like depend on the person, and I think Melanie, myself, and anyone would be happy to help through this, because like for instance, I'm about to do my worker recap, and that will be in like the next, like I'll do that proposal for May, and I'm just going to wait until that proposal passes to then claim that. But so that means I'll do it like in a week. But maybe you just have already claimed you've already submitted your XDAI proposal and you're ready to go. So maybe case by case scenario. But please like reach out if there's any questions on how to do this, because it's really important, I think, that people get their mainnet rep.
Are we going ahead with that? Like, should people start doing that? Like for the rep that has been awarded on XDAI?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and from my perspective and my judgment, I don't think there like technically is another authorization that needs to like occur, because this has already happened. So it is kind of more like an enabling thing. But like the proposals, it would be nice for the proposals to have like a structure to it so that we could do it. So I don't know if someone wants to. As I said, I'm going to like wait a week until I do my XI proposal, and that maybe people could use that as a model. But if someone wants to do it before then, I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, and the consistency is nice, just for like for those that are doing the accounting and the contributor UX funds, so folks that are helping to track this. If we can converge on some consistent way of doing it, then that's makes people's jobs easier.
Right. And it's even if you are like do it and you have like the right to do it, it's like it does make things like a whole lot easier if it's all done the same. So yeah.
So there was still the open question, I think, on like what would be the rough cost. The thing about cost right now is like, so gas, like there are times when gas, like last week is at like 40 or 50. Like ideally, that's when a bunch of people enter proposals, and then that's when like boosts happen and stuff. So we can try to time things up. Like you obviously can't control gas markets, but I think we could do this in a relatively efficient market, unlike back in the day when it was always above 300-400. So I don't think the overall cost is going to be like super significant if we try to time things up. But
I mean, we can't force it, but like, yeah, please use gas. Please submit the proposals during like cheap times. I mean, it helps. This is why if you're paying 10% of the proposal, you're incentivized to do it. But like, yeah, it actually can reduce the cost incredibly if we're just like only using, during. And that's governance does not really require, the high fee transaction time. So we can do that.
I think most are probably waiting for someone to do one as an example, and then everyone can mirror that example. I only have 2 months, so makes less sense for me to do one for 2 months. But then I'm waiting for like another 2 months. So unless we're gonna just say in this first case, because we need this set in the next 2 weeks, let's include 2 month ones.
I actually have 3 months because I didn't do my February. So this next month would actually be my 4th month, but I was just gonna wait for it anyway. I could just claim the 3 months, February, March, and April, and then that could be like the standard one. And then I would May would be the start of like my next 3 months there. So maybe I can do that and just create a format or structure for it.
Do we have a public document about which worker should receive how much rep?
Yeah, in the post, there is a link to the Google Sheet. I can post a link of it here. And it has a link to the specific XI proposals. The numbers are a little off because they're estimates based on like the monthly amounts and their percentages rather than what was in the XI proposals, but they're like pretty accurate. And so like rep holders should be looking at this, right? In terms of verify the proposal, you're going to like see, okay, I'm going to click through the XI proposals and see they actually earned it. And then like maybe double check. Then you can double check with this Google Sheet to make sure that it's like the right amount. Awesome. I'll get a format up for that and a proposal. Okay, moving along. Contributor UX. Melanie, we're kind of running out of time, but maybe we can give a quick overview of things been working on.
Yeah, definitely. Hey everyone, over the past week, we've been working with marketing on preparation for 0x Hack. That's a hackathon that's currently going on and being held by ETHWorks. John actually just presented just a few hours ago on the emerging decentralized DAO stack. I'll link in the chat if you're interested in finding the recording for it. Hackathons are a great way for DXDAO to gain exposure in the community, and also a way to recruit new people into our growing ecosystem. I've had the chance over the past few days to engage with some of the participants in the hackathon, and quite a few really expressed an interest in contributing to our decentralized organization. I know a developer also already introduced himself in the channel and has already been talking to Martin about contributing to Mesa. So definitely a great way to network and engage. But mainly today, I want to continue the discussion we started around DXDAO's worker compensation. Last week, I said the contributor UX would begin re-examining the current structure. At the moment, we are exploring ideas and researching what we can do to improve our compensation structure for our current contributors. But in addition to the market research, we want your feedback. I'll be adding a poll on DAO Talk after this meeting to get a better grasp on how everyone feels about our current comp structure. Some of the questions will include and cover contributor satisfaction with current DXDAO compensation allocation. That means, are you satisfied with the current allocation, 60% DAI stablecoin and 40% DXD? Or would you like to have more DXD and less stablecoin, or vice versa? Another question is whether you think DXDAO's compensation guidelines are in line with the industry average, and whether you think DXDAO's current worker level descriptions are adequate. So there are about 5 to 6 questions and should take you a fairly short amount of time to complete. So take the time to answer the poll. After taking and reviewing everyone's answers, we'll be able to have a better idea of what the new compensation structure should look like. And by next week, we would like to be able to present a framework of the new structure with including figures to the community. So that's just a quick update. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks. And it really does get at like the heart of what we're trying to do here, which is like, how do we create a fair and transparent system? And it's really hard. So definitely looking for feedback. And I think it's just as important, like the process we go through to figure this out, than it is what we end up with the end idea for that. So cool. And then just a minute over, but Augusto, I wanted to give you some time. We had a sweet DXvote demo yesterday on the dev call, and Arbitrum is imminent. So anything update for DXvote? I think the rep tracking we were just talking about there, but anything to update us on DXvote?
Yeah. Well, if you see if you wanna see more, you can see the developer call that was recorded yesterday, and I think that we shared it internally. And if you wanna test DXvote on Rinkebyte that we have now deployed, well, it's working. I'm still fixing some issues that are arising, but we are testing it on Rinkebyte and Arbitrum. The thing that happened on Arbitrum was that it was down for more than 12 hours after Sunday afternoon here. So when it was going to deploy everything for Arbitrum to test and play around on Monday, it was still down. So we have everything ready to test on Arbitrum. I shared the address to Federico and Swapper team of the avatar address. And yeah, I'm doing a lot of fixing now small issues, and the final smart contracts were submitted for audit, where we reached 100% test coverage on all the contracts that we sent. So we are waiting for the second audit, that is just to be sure that we took a look at everything. We had a very good call 2 weeks ago where we talked about the security concerns about the permission registry that we are going to be using. And well, everything is working fine right now. The only thing that I will be needing is for us to test and to play around on using Rinkebyte and Arbitrum. Now I'm going to take a look if it is up again, but the testnet is not 100%. I mean, the uptime is not. It's not going to be up every time. I don't know what's happening on Arbitrum, but I'm very skeptic on how it's going to work when this release. So yeah, let's hope it works. Our application works there, so that's covered. The problem is the network. That I don't know if it's going to be ready to support or the workload.
I mean, it's funny. I don't know if people have been paying attention, but I mean, we've been talking about Arbitrum for a long time, and the kind of industry and the crypto Twitter is like coming around to Arbitrum a lot in the last couple of days, and it's just funny that while that's happening, Augusto is going in the opposite direction. He's like, I don't know about this testnet, but everyone else is getting excited about it.
It was down for 12 hours on Sunday, so I don't know where. And I entered the Twitter, and now one tweeted about it. I was going to ask the Arbitrum people, but I mean, it was 12 hours before I realized, so I thought they already knew. Anyway, it went up again, but that's kind of weird. I mean, this didn't happen when we were on any Ethereum network, on any public testnet on Ethereum network. I don't remember seeing it. I know, stopping, because this is like the third time in a month. The previous testnet it went offline for 2 times. So
I was going to say what Nylon just said, that Polkadot, the actual blockchain, was down for, I guess it was 24 hours, and it was that long. So, and I know Solana has had some time, like, you know.
And better like downtimes now than later, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're having downtime now on a testnet that not so many people are using, I don't want to see what's going to happen on when they are transferring real money and a lot of people are using production.
So they didn't update anything. It's mainly just like offline, and they just started it again.
Yeah, it was down for 12 hours or more between Sunday and Monday. So that's why I only deployed to Rinkeby. Anyway, we have everything to work on Arbitrum. But yeah, what I'm going to need to talk. I was hoping to talk about it today after the governance call about what we are going to do with DXgov, because the 1.0 release, I think, is very close. But I need to get it documented for everyone to test on Rinkeby on Arbitrum. And once we get the audit results from the second audit result, we will be able to deploy it on XI and start using it on XI with some funds, like $1,000, $2,000, something like that.
Summer, I don't know. We need a name. I don't want to call it the Arbitrum Summer, but
in fact, what it will be awesome is it will be awesome to start maybe even playing with XI now. Before we have to see when we are going to receive the other results, but we can send some funds there and start sending us, I don't know, some money between us and start playing with some.
DXvote. You're talking about DXvote on XDAI?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we could do that. I mean, that'd be a good way to even test DXvote, right? Because then there is some real funds. Everyone has, XDAI.
I think that's a great idea. I think the more we actually test it,
using the same rep that we have on XI right now.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to get it done today.
Please don't. XDAI might also have troubles, or is known to also have troubles. So
now I'm going to hack XI.
I mean, it's great. It shows maybe that like everyone's talking about Arbitrum, but no one's diving in as deep.
No one is using.
We are as Augusto.
Yeah,
if he's the one on the Twitter, like.
I think
Augusto, destroyer of chains.
I don't know, but I think I don't know I wish the Arbitrum team the best, but I don't know. I'm really very skeptical of what is going to happen when it goes live, and I want to see it.
I think that's why they're calling it developer mainnet release, right? Still cautious.
Oh yeah, that's why. Exactly.
I've also seen people start saying mainnet launch. Even though they said developer release, I just saw someone say like Arbitrum mainnet launch. So I think it's going to be tough to prevent that. But
But Arbitrum is getting hyped pretty much right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of coming. Poor Nathan is coming in and out of the room, but yeah, I mean, I just saw, like, I don't know, from across the spectrum, it's kind of people coming to the conclusion about, like, what is an L2 and then realizing, oh, Arbitrum is, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the stage is set, right? Because Ethereum scaling has been such a key part of the narrative and a key question for years now, right? And we really haven't, nothing has actually shipped, right? Like, we don't, except for the beacon chain, but you can't use it, right? Other than sending.
Well, Loopring, I'd say Loopring is the only.
That's true.
Like,
yeah, I always
yeah.
I always neglect to think, but yeah, they've done pretty amazing stuff, but it's limited to just their exchange, right? So no, like, there's nothing that kind of generally allows Ethereum to scale, right? Like, across the board. So.
And to get really excited about Ethereum, like, when you think about how, like, all the developments going on in Ethereum and how, like, you know, interesting and revolutionary it is, but, like, Ethereum has been focused on, like, two things the entire history, and that's scalability and proof of stake, neither of which have shipped yet, right? And it's like all of that's going to be happening on, like, Ethereum is, like, it, as I say, 1.0, and it's like, wow, what's going to happen when you, like, reach both of those and they actually make those transitions that, like, you know, Ethereum's been trying to do for the whole time, and it's like they're coming, right? It's like happening this year.
And I mean, I think that the length of time that it's taken has allowed a lot of other things to, like, pump, flourish, whatever, right? Like, I mean, the reason Matic's, like, pushing they're kind of hijacking that layer 2 narrative, right? And, like, yeah, all these ETH killers, right? It's all about, well, ETH's not, you know, not scaling. You can't use it right now. It's too expensive, right? If ETH actually starts to do something real to chip away at that, it's a complete game changer.
And there are others behind them, though. Optimism, CK Sync, like ETH 2.0 itself, like, yeah, this is, like, it's scaling, right? It's coming, and it's like broadband, right? It's going to completely change products and everything.
Has anyone heard anything from ZK Sync? Because they had been saying things like, I mean, I never really believed it. I mean, people are always saying things.
They said May testnet. They said May testnet and August launch. I think that was, like, they had a March blog post, but I don't think there's been anything since then, and it's May 26th. So
I would be very surprised if we saw ZK Sync, like, usable in any kind of real, like, form this year, or even really next year.
BSV, yeah. Anyway, I actually don't have a snarky comment about BSV, but, like, I feel like I should. But I'm sure there's one out there. I just don't. I don't know enough about it.
I'm typing it right now.
Oh, that's right. John was or he had a Bitcoin Cash phase or something. I can't remember.
Kind of a Bitcoin Cash support. I mean, but
anyway,
Ethereum.
Yeah, Augusto, can you guys hear me?
Nathan, yes.
Oh, good.
Finally.
Because I've been trying to talk for like 10 times for the past 15 minutes, but Jitsi is having some problems. And I've been logging out and logging back in. And it's been so for the past few days. I've been having daily calls and meetings with the Mesa team. I think Jitsi is having some problems with the servers. So I have a question for Augusto. I've tried to log into DXgov, but I couldn't, and I just realized it's because Augusto has now moved it to RinkBuy. But isn't it better, even though it had a problem on Sunday, to still keep trying on Arbitrum testnet? Or
yeah, the main issue was that when I was going to deploy, the testnet was down. Like, I couldn't deploy anything. So then I say, okay, fuck it. If it's down for 12 hours, I mean, I cannot continue waiting. So I deploy it on RinkBuy that we know that it's going to be up and running, like other series public testnet. But now that Arbitrum is up, yeah, I can redeploy on Arbitrum. And in fact, the only thing I will need to do is to restart the cache. But yeah, that is why I didn't updated our developer version of DXgov for Arbitrum, because I couldn't use the testnet. I mean, no one could have done anything for